Good morning, you bad, beautiful bitch. You. It is Wednesday morning. We have kind of a selfish guest on here for me, selfish for me. D-Rock from VaynerMedia, Gary Vee's videographer for the last 9 years, is live on today's show. And spoiler alert, could it or could it not be his last month working for the Gary Vee? Sit back, relax. This is the No Limits Podcast. Love you. You're a man with tenacity and balls. Walk me through. You were
definitely a pair.
Yeah. And I'm gonna butcher the timeline here, but X amount of years ago, you reached out to this guy named Gary, and in your head, you were like, I am going to reach out and create a video for him for free. And then at that moment, were you like, if he loves this, I know I have the game plan of I'm going to work for free, or was this all like freestyle? Walk me through like early days.
Yeah, so early 2013, my buddy and I started a podcast called Launching Creative.
Yeah.
Where we were, he was the host and I was like the back end.
Gotcha.
But we started to educate freelancers on how to make money using the internet, but then also like how to do invoicing, how to do billing, all this stuff that really wasn't readily available. Like Instagram wasn't around,
right.
TikTok, Facebook, really, like a lot of the biggest platforms didn't even start promoting content like this. So like you got to go to blogs or podcasts or websites. And so we started interviewing a bunch of CEOs and CMOs, and they were all like wearing suits and ties and all this stuff. And we went to social media marketing world. I met Lewis Howes there. That's where I met Tommy Dumas. A bunch of like the OGs in the podcasting space.
Yeah.
And then we came back like invigorated and we just started cranking out our own episodes. And then sometime around February 2014, Nick was like, hey, at Columbia University, there's a free talk tonight. Let's go. I go to the talk and it was Gary walking out in Nike jeans and a hoodie. And I'm like, I like that guy's energy, right? Yep. And so then like I went on, after that night, it was a great talk. He was promoting Jab, 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 Right Hook, his new book. And then I went on to his YouTube and just started watching all the keynotes and little interviews that he had put out and all the selfie cam videos.
Yeah.
And then I watched the one video of him on the airplane, a rant from the head, hip, and heart, where he's like Darth Vader on some like late night flight in a hoodie, like I'm gonna fucking dominate.
Yeah.
And
I can see that camera angle, the something like this, right?
Something like that. I mean, he's like, and I just remember watching him. Like, oh, this guy like has some really cool, interesting approaches to life.
Right.
He's confident, and I was like, what he says sounds cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could make like a free video for him, use it as marketing for me to get other clients, because I was also a freelancer, videographer, and editor on the side of the podcast.
Right.
So, like, had that business going, and so then reached out to him, no response.
And was this DM or this is
This is an email. This is a formal email.
Wow. Here we go. Dear Gary, comma.
Dear Gary. I'm a young boy and I would like to make a video about you. And then no response. And then, months kind of passed by. And then he was on Twitter. I had kind of been doing this freelancing work for a while.
Yep.
Had made the most money I'd ever made this one day. And it was pouring rain in the city.
Yep.
And I'm ghetto, so I was walking through Jackson Heights, Queens, with all my camera gear on me, looking like a hunchback in Notre Dame, running through the streets, pouring rain.
Yeah.
And so I go into Manhattan, do this job, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to take a cab. Like now I've taken quite a few cabs and Ubers and stuff.
Right.
But back in that day, I couldn't afford shit.
Right.
I was just like hustling, grinding, saving, hustling, grinding.
Top ramen.
Saving. And so if I had gotten the subway, I wouldn't have had internet service. So I hop in a cab. I'm riding over the Queensboro Bridge back to Queens. And Gary's on Twitter, like blasting off messages. Hey, I'm trying out this app called Kick. KIK.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's a setting app for young kids.
Yeah.
So I always like to say that Gary and I hooked up on Kick. But I downloaded the app, made a username, and within 1 minute sent him a message.
Whoa. All in that cab ride.
Within that minute, he responded back.
Wow.
And I said, hey, I want to make a free video for you. I'm based in New York. Let me know next time you're here in the city. He's like, ha ha ha, I live here. I'm like, I know, but you travel a lot.
Right.
So just let me know. And he's like, I'm all in. And I sent him a 1 minute video of like my motivational video I had made.
Yep.
Right, with my buddy for free. His name is Stefan, and actually Stefan came to work with us at Vayner for 7 years.
Wow.
One of my college best buddies got to work at Vayner. Different departments throughout the years, but awesome to have him around the building and just see his face. But then made a username, sent him a message. He said I'm in. He connected me with his admins. And I had emailed like twice, tweeted twice.
Yep.
And this was finally the opportunity.
Right.
So then one day we just set up a time for me to follow around. It's funny, I'm writing this whole article.
Yep.
Growing up with Gary, the 9 years of being there.
Wow.
And so I've like really been recounting all the memories and all the different things that we've done.
Yep.
And so anyway, I go follow him around for a day. He doesn't want to wear a mic.
Oh, wow.
Because we don't know each other.
Right.
And so I'm just like capturing B-roll. Yep. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to make out of this? Yeah. Then he gives a keynote, and then he does this interview in the back of a car for this article. And so I'm at home at night that night, like so excited.
Yep.
But I'm like, what the fuck am I making?
Right. Right.
Because we hadn't discussed anything. There was no Daily Vee, there was no videos, there was nothing like this. And so then I'm sitting there, and he's recording this article, and it's about the clouds and dirt. And it's his theory of like, I'm a dirt practitioner. I'm in the dirt working hard, and I'm in the clouds dreaming and have big ambitions and big dreams.
Right.
And so I kind of took that interview, used it as my voiceover, mixed in a bunch of the other footage from the keynote, and then sent it in to this like 4-minute film, and we called it Clouds and Dirt.
Yep.
And it was my first film. And then that was it. He started blasting it off on Twitter.
Yep.
I started copy and pasting everybody's names. I'm like, hey, I made this video.
Yep.
Found their emails, emailed them all. Got like 3 or 4 jobs off of that.
Yep.
Started to grind on that, and then was in the middle of a 72-hour film festival where I'm hour 56. And so you get the concept up front. You got to write, film, edit, and produce with a cast and crew and members and everything. And so I'm hour 56 just up. Like 5-9 coffees, just like grinding. And I hear ding, 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 because my email, like, no one was getting emails back in the day.
Yeah.
Very different time than now.
Yeah.
And it was Gary. And I had sent him an email after I gotten like 2 or 3 of the jobs. I sent him an email and said, hey, thank you for the opportunity. Had a great time. Let me know if there's anything else.
Oh my God.
So then he emailed me back like a couple weeks later, and he says, so ... you want to come work for me? And then at the time, my first ex at the time, we were dating for a little while. Her aunt was pressuring me going back to business school. And so I had started applying for colleges and like was like legitimately going to go back to business school.
Because you're how old? How old are you at this time?
I'm 23.
You're 23. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a 2-year degree in media and TV.
Yep.
But I was like, okay, let me go back to business school. I hated that idea, and I kind of hated that woman.
Yeah.
And so I kind of said, fuck you, I'm going to take this job with Gary.
Yep.
Because I thought the best way I could learn about business is watch a businessman.
Right. Be as close to the sun as physically possible.
Yep. So then I took the job, and that's July 7th, 2014.
Wow. And day one, you're now no longer freelancing. You're a Vayner employee.
VaynerMedia employee until this day, by the way. VaynerMedia employee until this day.
So you guys sit down, and when did it come out like, hey, not only am I going to work for you, but because I assume, this is just now I'm like, wow, this has happened today. He'd have like 8 trillion D-Rocks sending him clips and stuff like that. Were you like, hey, to get my foot in the door, I'm going to just say, I'm going to work for you for free?
No, it was that free video that I had made. That
Okay,
he
gotcha.
No, he employed me. So like he employed me after that.
Right,
Low cost.
right,
Great starting base salary for a 24-year-old kid though in New York.
right,
Was
right.
super grateful to have a job because I'd been freelancing for a while.
Yeah.
VaynerMedia was like young. Like we were doing like photo shoots in closet on
Wow.
window shelves, like 200 employees, like
Wow.
very, very different than the 2000 multimedia global agency he is
Yep.
now. No, I was brought in to help edit clips from his longer form keynote
Yep.
for YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Facebook didn't have video. Instagram didn't have video. It was just YouTube I was being brought in for.
Right.
And so within 2 weeks, I was like editing just some keynotes, some random clips. And then he kind of said to the team, it was me, a writer, Stunwin, and then a graphic designer, Zach Moy. Stunwin's no longer, he was there at the company for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zach Moy is now head creative at Sasha Media Group, one of our small business. So it's really cool, the OG. And then he was just like, hey, I want to start a show. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, let's grab some questions off Twitter. Let's find some business questions. I'll tweet out. Let's pick out a few of them too. And let's just answer questions.
Wow.
So I grab my camera. We go sit in this room called the fishbowl.
Yep.
Because there are glass windows all around.
Yep.
And we just start recording this show. And it became the Ask Gary Vee show. And that's just how we kind of started. And then what ended up happening was I had to like cut up every answer and start tweeting them out to individuals who we asked the questions of, just to start building the community.
Right. Talk about hand-to-hand combat right there. Taking the clip.
Baby.
Hey, we answered. We do that on this show. Like we do like a live caller.
100%.
And that is so crazy to be like, hey, here's the clip of your question or live call and send it back to them. That is genius. Especially early days like that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I love the expression, and this came from you guys, obviously, like you grow by being closest to the sun. And I'm probably butchering the actual like D-Rock example of that. But
you got it.
What were the three biggest takeaways within yourself of being so close to the sun? Like you always hear like I'm a big like Jocko fan, where it's like, you know, that in the Navy SEAL mind, like the David Goggins of sorts are like, when you're done, you're actually 40% done. Like your body and brain can go so much further than you think it can. When you're that close to the sun, what are you learning about yourself that you never thought, you know, either you could do and that you could take that in any direction, a career, personal development, you know, mental.
Great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think, you know, as I'm like writing this article of like my past experiences and stuff, it really goes back to the first video I made. I think, you know, over the last 2 years, I've kind of become a little bit more complacent in my career, and Gary knows, and like just like wasn't in the right position to succeed.
Yeah.
And then kind of got unhappy with like what I'm doing. Yeah. And I think that's because when I first started, it was like, let's build something. And like I knew how much work that would take, and I was all about it because I was doing what I loved. Right. So I think the dirt, just falling in love with the process, falling in love with that part of like, hey, it's so cliche, but it's like, life is very simple. We as humans tend to overcomplicate it.
100%.
I have found that like, when I'm doing exactly what I like to do, I will work my fucking eyes out, till I bleed.
Yep.
And then having big dreams and dreaming bigger than what you think you can achieve, because that allows for your mindset to open up. Right. And kind of allow yourself to like take that and run with it. Right. And then build momentum around whatever, one thing, two things, five things. Yeah. And then I'm going to add a fourth one. Yeah. Always willing to adjust. I think too many people, like, we've started 7 different shows, 8 different shows. You only really hear about 4 of them. Right. 5 of them. Right. We started 9, actually, because we've just done so many. But whenever we've done 2 or 3 episodes, didn't feel it working, we just stopped and moved on to the next thing. I think too many people be like, oh no, I put out this podcast. Yeah. 4 we had a podcast called Brown Paper Bag,
Yeah.
where we had 4 people come in, Gary talking, and it was just not the right format for Gary, not the right format for the guest. It didn't work. We did 3 episodes, had really big names on it, and then we were like, we're done.
Right.
And we moved on to the next thing. And I think that power has been like one of Gary's superpowers along the way of like, if something doesn't work, just move on from it, versus people would wrap up a lot of self-esteem of like, I just launched this show. I just branded it. We just put out 3 episodes.
Yep.
And then there's no more. No. We got to keep it going.
Right.
Maybe it's not going to. And then it's like, nah, following intuition and gut.
What is that? Like, I've always wondered that is, I'm assuming for, let's say you start a show and then for those that don't want to cancel the show 3 episodes in when it's maybe not the right format, not the right fit, is that like their own ego get in the way mixed with like, oh, I don't want my friends and parents to be like, see, I need to start something and not.
Well, I think that's ego. I think that's all combined as one.
Yeah.
And I think there's just like, you always hear like, hey, don't give up too early.
Right.
So there's these 2 mindsets and they're both right. They're both right.
Right.
Because it's like, yeah, you could do 20 episodes and the 21st one is the right one.
Right.
But then also you got to understand yourself. So I think it's lack of understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
Because like Gary wasn't right for that format and the guests weren't really getting what they needed to say out.
Right.
So just understanding it from a holistic point of view, is this working?
Right.
And the only way you get there is by testing out different formats, which we have been a fan of like literally since the beginning of our time. And, like, always be innovating formats, and now you see it all day.
Right.
You have Caleb Simpson running around New York. Hey, how much do you pay for New York City
right.
apartments? He did 50 different formats before he found that one.
That's amazing.
So when people don't think about that, they just see the 5 that have been working, and they just like, oh,
right.
They have it figured out.
Right. Oh, I love that. Was that
a lot? It's complicated.
Yeah, I love your. I think you're spot on there. Like and this goes back to like there needs to be a wall of like Vayner words in term like in my mind, Gary Vee. I mean, Jocko owns like extreme ownership, and Gary should trademark the word like both, or and
and
yeah, exactly. Because you hit it right there. You're like, it's actually both of these pieces, which is beautiful.
Yeah, because again, we as humans are complex.
Yeah.
And that's just like realities of it. And there's too many of us. There's too many different things. Like, I don't know. I like your black shirt, but some people might not like black.
Right.
Like, and that's
I wear black because I sweat a lot. Hello. So.
I wear black because I like it.
Yeah.
But like, just like, and then people like purple because that's just what it is.
Right.
And it's like, just think about our country. I don't want to even think about that, but the divide there on just like what people believe is right in our faces.
Right. 100%. How do people become more self-aware? Like, is it truly a battle of like going around the buffet table of life and taste testing different things? Or like, how can an individual that's listening to this, it's like, because I feel like people are going to listen and be like, wow, D-Rock basically built this empire at Vayner, and then within himself had the wherewithal to be like, not really my jam. Like I'm looking for the next, war to fight, hill to climb. Like, for you to even have that, as I'm thinking this question through, I'm like, the wherewithal within you is so extreme. Like, hey, this is great. We built this over 9 years. I am not fulfilled as I once was. It's time. Rather than like, to your point from earlier, some people would sit on that career and for the rest of their days.
I could have sat in Vayner for the rest of my days.
Right.
And been like happy and content, would have had great people, great relationships. Listen, everyone's so different.
Yeah.
There's too many ways to go about it. For me, I went through the process of reading, journaling, writing, really having the hard conversations. Shout out to my buddy Chris Zaru. Him and I have been just having like hard conversations with ourselves, with the people around us, with everyone like in our lives, and like asking people, like talking it through, and like, one of the biggest experiments I've done on myself while working with Gary, being close to the sun and all, is really auditing the people who I'm around. And
Mm,
so a lot of like the first 2, 3 years, I was like, oh, right, my energy is my energy is I need to protect.
yeah.
And I'm such a giver and such a willing person to give everything.
Right.
And so then I started seeing people in my life who were like not quite reciprocating
Right.
or providing value. And then just started auditing, spending time less with
Mm,
those people, spending more time with people that fulfilled me. Started to
right.
like really search out and seek out people that did fulfill me.
Right.
And vice versa, right? Not a one-way street,
Right.
two-way street. But then once I had that, I had a tight-knit understand friend group who kind of understood me. Which
Yeah.
then
Right.
when I'm going through all these things, I mean, I don't even want to talk to you how many hours of walks with all these
Yeah.
different people to just kind of talk.
Like clear the, yeah.
Should I talk? Should I even think about this?
Right.
Should I even consider it? And then it gets to the point where like, oh wait, like I do want to try other shit.
Right.
And then it is Gary at a capacity where he can or a mindset where he can. And if not, then it's like so cool and like I never thought I was gonna get a job for Gary.
Right.
I never thought about this stuff. I've always wanted to be filmmaker, storyteller. I never thought about 9 years in a marketing career.
Yeah.
That was never my intention as a filmmaker.
Right.
But what I'll say is Gary is one of the greatest CEOs in the world because he enables that creativity and
Yeah.
fosters it, grows it, nurtures it, and takes care of it.
Right.
And so thus like super comfortable and great life
Right.
because happy doing what I want to do, and then also have a great boss who supports that vision and mission.
Right.
Right.
I love that.
But just like every relationship, sometimes someone just has to spread their wings and just
Right.
like try shit.
Right.
You know? And I figured like, look, I just went through a big breakup. I'm 32 years old.
Yep.
I don't live with anyone. I have no mortgage.
Yep.
I have no kids. I'm like, remember, I was filming Gary through all these years.
Right.
I've heard all the stories.
Right. Right.
This is like the most cliche time of my life to take this leap and try.
Were you
Like, it's
filming
so-
some of these keynotes and you're like, as he's like,
Always.
you have nothing to
always.
lose. Take the jump. And
Listen,
you're like, I should take the jump. You speaking to me?
Listen, I filmed and edited and had a caption almost every word of almost every video for years.
Right. Right.
Like I heard everything.
Right.
And I think it'll be a testament to see how well I do, because then I think, oh wait a minute, if I did that well by just consuming Gary's content, which is what I was doing,
Mhm.
filming and editing all day,
Right.
then I think that way more the impact that Gary has, if you really look at it at a micro, like macro, like 10 universes away
Mhm.
type of scale, you're gonna say, wait a minute, the amount of seeds that were planted because of the content that we created that allowed people to jump and run
Right.
is the thing that like I've always when I was homeschooled as a young boy.
Yeah.
So didn't go to public school, didn't go through any of this stuff. My mom raised me, was homeschooled. Had a few homeschool friends, all this stuff. But one day I found this video on YouTube, and it was a mashup of Will Smith, The 9 Principles of Success
Oh,
by Will
wow.
Smith. And it was some random guy that edited this video on some motivational page.
Yep.
I watched that video every day for like 3 years, and that thing was the thing that kind of got me into like, okay, you're a homeschool boy,
Yep.
come from nothing, you have nothing.
Right.
How do you get there? You're working with your dad doing construction. You hate that bullshit.
Right.
Once you find what you love, follow it.
Right.
And once I picked up a camera, I knew,
It was,
and then
yeah.
I just had to fucking go.
Yep.
You know.
You must be now.
And so, oh yeah, so sorry.
Please. No, please.
So now, I always said, like, I wanted to get into movies and film because I was like, if I can make Pursuit of Happiness or 7 Pounds or Good Will Hunting, then I can motivate someone like me.
Right. Right.
And now I'm happy to say that my soul can die a happy man.
Right.
Like, I'm fulfilled.
Right.
I don't have to do anything else in my life ever
Right.
to help another human being. But like, just because of my natural tendencies, I will. But I'm pretty happy. Like, there's been too many emails, too many messages, too many awesome people
Yep.
that I know that it's because of the content we put out.
Yeah. 100%.
And I'm humbled and I'm blessed and I feel grateful for that. And so
You're talking to one of those people that saw one of those videos you edited along. I found Gary in 20. I graduated college in 2017. I'm 28 right now.
Congrats. You look great.
I'm trying to keep up with you. All right, 32.
No way.
Stud.
No way.
It's one beautiful human right there. Graduating college, I was always in school, always like fairly unorthodox. Like as a young kid, I would polish up golf balls and resell them on the first tee, and
hustler.
Yeah, and that
grinder.
Yeah, and I went to like a state school in New Hampshire, Plymouth State, who was like they had a business program, but it was like, to what you said earlier, like the suit and tie, like maybe we want to go a finance route. And I'm like, I like can barely look at numbers without getting my eyes crossed. So finding you guys and you early days, literally paved my career path to where I was, and I've told this, Gary actually stitched this a while ago. Graduating school, I had $60K worth of student loan debt. And when I graduated, I'm listening to you guys, and I go with my mother to DCU, where our loans were from, and the $60K is all in my name. So they're like, you're going to pay $285 every month for 10 years, and then you'll be debt free. And we're like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, almost like getting like a little like choked up about it. Cause I'm like at that age at, 2017, seeing $60K in red, I'm like, and then I hear you guys talking about the flip life. So what did I do? I literally got a truck. It was my first vehicle out of college. I got this beater and searched free on Facebook Marketplace. And then my like life slogan was a couch a day keeps the student loans away. So
were you the guy with the couches that was just like flipping the? No way.
Exactly right. So I paid it all off.
I know exactly who. No way.
Yeah, in 2 years, all from flipping furniture. That was because of you guys. Like it wasn't. I was doing it actively, yes, but there is almost, granted, years ago when I was a little kid, I was doing it with golf balls, but I just don't know if I didn't find your page, if I'd be able to, do what I did without you guys,
That's what, bro. Congrats to you, though. You like really did it. It's funny. Like, as I was writing this article, man, I have been remembering, like, 2017 Flip Challenge was 6 years ago. Like, I didn't even remember that we did it. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Yeah. And I like add that part in. I'm like adding in the $1.80 strategy. I'm like adding in all these things that we did along. Like, that's crazy. What a remarkable story. Yeah, and you paid it off in 2 years. 2 years. So I was doing, it was $3,000. If I would sell a couch, like this little swivel chair I'm on, if I sold it for say $100 that day, I would take the cash, put it in my bank, and then I would go into my DCU account and I would deposit $100 on the spot. So there was no like, at the end of the month, I'll just tally everything up. It was like, no, immediately done.
If this can sold for like $1, I would take that dollar. It would leave my hands, go right to loans. So I was doing it. It was
you're very disciplined and like
it was $3K a month in couches, all in couches, and then did that for 2 years straight. Got rid of the debt. That was because of, I remember my dad being like, got to get a real job. There's got to be a better use of your time. As I'm watching you guys film like Gary flip a 50-cent mug. And I'm like, all right, if they're doing it over there in New Jersey and New York, I could do it up here in Southern New Hampshire, And
Trash Talk was one of my favorite things that we've ever made.
Yeah.
It's like so much fun. It's like, I was like, Gary, I know I won't be your employee next year, but next summer you gotta tap me in. I just love it. Like we're hopping out of these random car, running into like random people's yards, and just like, yo, we want to buy that. And we have like a camera. I'm really like,
I keep a truck and a storage unit, and my storage unit, I live right here in Boston, but my storage is only for couches. It's my Netflix,
What?
Like me, it drives my fiance nuts because I'm like, she's like, what are we doing this weekend? I was like, what are you doing this weekend? I was like, I am booked solid with couches. And it's just because I listen to you guys. I'll throw on Jocko. I'm driving around, it's the best.
Love it. What a good life, man. What a good life.
I want to wrap with a couple things with you here, and we'll have to get you in studio at some point.
And that's happening. I'll have more free time. I want to be bopping around and navigating. So
100%. I have two final questions for you here. One, what's the biggest takeaway you learned with your time in the 9 years spent at Vayner? And then probably the biggest question, what's next for D-Rock?
Yeah. find what you really love to do is
Mm,
probably the biggest takeaway. And
I love
so
that.
it's really fascinating because watching Gary navigate his life, he loves it.
Yeah.
There is through and through. And it's funny, I was walking with my buddy Buster today. We had like a walk and talk. He's another kid who's 20, he's about to be 23,
Yep.
built 5 businesses, really fucking loves it,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And like he's 23, Gary's 47, 46.
Hmm.
That's it, man.
That's it.
Life gets simple if you find out what you really love. And honestly, man, I don't need a lot of money. I
Right.
really just
Right.
I want to live my life how I want to live it, and then work on cool creative projects along the way that inspire me and motivate me and get me going.
Right.
I can live very humbly. I can live like I don't have to make anything.
Hmm.
It's more about just like truly going out with friends, having
Right.
a great family, meeting awesome new people, building things,
Right.
you know?
I love
So
that.
that I think is kind of like my 9-year takeaway. And
Yeah.
then on the same answer on the other side is like, I'm actually going through a very transformational part of my life. I feel myself evolving and growing. And so I'm taking the next like month and a half to kind of figure out what it is I want to do.
Nice.
I also like another part of this article is Gary really taught us how to fish. Like,
Mm.
I don't know if you're religious or not, but in the Bible, it talks a lot about like,
Give him it.
don't give men fish, but teach men how to fish and become
Yes.
fisher of men. I think that Gary embodied that a lot. Like I too came from nothing.
Hmm.
When we did the 2017 Flip Challenge, that got my head spinning. Wait, what are a few things I can sell in my apartment?
Yeah. Oh,
And I
let's
started doing that,
go.
and I sold stuff. I continually sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace
Yep.
today and Twitter, and I use my social too.
Yep.
And then like he was like, "Yo, like you guys should invest in sports cards."
Hmm.
So I started doing that, and then did pretty well on that throughout COVID, and then crypto came along, and I sold the sports cards and invested in crypto.
Wow.
Bought the CryptoPunks. Now have that like, as a nice like savings.
Yep.
But like it's the what Gary's biggest impact is he's so practical with his advice
Yeah.
on how to make the thing. A lot of times people won't go get a truck and drive around and pick up free couches.
Right.
99% of people will not do that.
Right.
Because I know because we just put out too much of the
Yeah.
content. And most people are not just going on Facebook. You wouldn't have any couches to pick up if
Right.
that was the case.
Right.
So the people that do take those opportunities, almost like me reaching out for a free video,
Hmm.
there were so many times I've been on podcasts like yours and be like, hey guys, I'm hiring. All I need you to do is watch the 7-hour vlog that I put out
Yeah.
and edit a video from it and
Yep.
send it to me. 99% of people didn't respond.
Hmm.
The one person that did was like, I gotta really watch through all the 7 hours. I'm like, what the fuck do you think I'm doing all day?
Right. Right.
I'm literally sitting watching footage, and if you can't take 3 days to do that,
Right.
then you're just not the type of character I want along. The same thing is like that's how life works, and
I love that.
I'm here to take opportunities that most people won't.
That is beautiful. I love that. I love that, love that, love that. And you're so right. The 99.9% of people won't do anything you put out anyway.
And let's just be gracious. 90%.
Yeah, right. Right.
50%. Let's just be gracious.
Right.
There's 8.8 billion people on this
Right.
planet. Like, let's just be like, cool. 50% of you do it. Awesome. And 50% are living a greater life.
Right. God, that is beautifully put. And I cannot thank you guys, you, Olive Vayner, Gary, those hours you spent behind a screen there at Hudson Yards, probably watching the sun go down, being like, oh, my back's tight, my shoulders hurt. Once that video was...
Or the sun come up. It depends. Like Tyler Schmidt and I and Tyler Babin, Tyler Schmidt and I have some really interesting stories. There were some times where I slept under some desks.
Wow.
There were some times that Babin was like in a closet editing overnight.
Unreal.
There was like times where I was throwing memory cards at Babin, chucking them at him, and he was grabbing them and throwing them into the computer because I was just running to go film more.
Oh my God.
And then Tyler Schmidt was managing Gary's life, one human at the time. And it's like, so it's just like the real like grinding days. It's funny, I've really reconnected with those boys a lot over the last like 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I've just gotten some like, that was wild.
Yeah.
That was like a different type of like energy, you know?
And
It was
all
wild.
that effort to say, you guys then uploading that video on Gary's account for then other people like me to see it and then take action behind it. Like, I owe you guys my entire life because it changed the trajectory of where I
Well,
was.
mom and dad too. They did a good job.
Jim and Jan as well.
They had their moments. They
Jim
had
and
their
Jan. Oh
moments.
yeah, I give them endless praise. It's Jim and Jan, and then Vayner right underneath that, and then Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's a close third.
I love the order of life.
Yeah, in that order. You know, mom
Get
and
your
dad,
priorities in order.
Vayner, Lil Wayne. Boom. Oh, well, D-Rock, thank you so much. I want to respect your time, so thank you so much for coming on here. Let's keep in touch. Next time you're in Boston, we'll have to get you in the studio here. We'd love to have you.
Thank you for having me. Had a great time.